This Coast to Coast Entertainment Network program is brought to you by Beside Me Bracelets. Our bracelets are handmade for any occasion. Use the promo code Coast to Coast for 15% off. Visit their website at besideme.com. Suzanne's Paparazzi Jewelry. With 24-hour shopping available, use the code 160920 and show her some love, like she showed us. Reaper Apparel Company, a commitment to live your most authentic way every single day. Visit reaperapparelco.com for more information and a look at all of their apparel offerings. And by Good Day Embroidery, your local source for custom embroidery, screen printing, and more. Log on to gooddayembroidery.com for more information.
Oh, hello, and welcome to Evening Tailgate as Chris is coming in right now.
There you go.
There you are.
Thanks, James. Hey, welcome everybody to Evening Tailgate, Morning Tailgate in the evening, I guess. I'm Chris Bacon, here with James. How you doing this evening?
You know, it just feels weird doing a tailgate in the nighttime. I guess you could say it's a what do you call it? A nightcap or whatever. But yeah. I cannot wait. That might be a show title. That might be a show title. Just thinking about that. Keep that in mind.
Yeah,
nightcap. Yeah, we're gonna go back, recap the Super Bowl that happened. Get into some off-season news and tell you about something else that will happen after this as well.
Ooh, yeah, that's going to be interesting. So yeah, we got tailgate here right now. Normally in the mornings or, whenever kickoff is. And then Monday you'll have C2C at night. And then Tuesday you'll have C2C Rankum. Wednesday Sports Minute. Friday you'll have Entertainment Hour, and some shows are supposed to come back. I think Creeping the Real is this week.
Okay.
So stay tuned for that. And Callan has launched a network that has C2C involved with it. It's coming March 11th.
Oh yeah.
So some of our programs will also be on there. So you'll have another way to catch all of our shows. Shows will be rolling, as time goes on. So stay tuned for that. But as we, are a week after the Super Bowl, we had time to think about it. Thought how a game that was supposed to be entertaining did not become entertaining. And not because the Philadelphia Eagles won, but of how the game, was presented, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
What did you think of the game?
Well, going through it, man, first of all, definitely a defensive start to the game, and then it continued just with Philadelphia. But it started off, the Eagles getting a 1-yard touchdown. I believe it was a tush push for Jalen Hurts, make it 7-0. Then they got the ball right back off of I believe it was Pat Mahomes' interception. And Jake Elliott hit a field goal, long one too. And then after that, in the second quarter, Cooper DeJean had a 38-yard interception return for a touchdown, a pick six. That was amazing. And all of a sudden, it's 17-0. And then A.J. Brown, after another Pat Mahomes interception, caught a pass, went around the corner to score to the end zone to make it 24-0. You thought, okay, it should be over, right? But this is the Kansas City Chiefs, or were. There was even a player on the sideline. I can't remember who it was, but I saw it in the mic'd up segment on the Kansas City sideline. and I think it was Steve Spagnuolo talking to one of his defensive players, and they're saying, hey, if the Patriots can do it, we can do it. Remember 28-3, 28-3, 28-3. But obviously, different personnel, different people, different team, Papa John's. Okay, Elliott, after the halftime, third quarter, kicked the field goal to make it 27-0. And then Devontae Smith caught a long touchdown pass, 46-yarder from Hurts, to make it 34-0. And he thought, okay, this is more than 28-3. It should be over. I kept thinking, though, in my head, 28-3, 28-3, 28-3, but it was okay. Jake Elliott also added a couple more field goals. Xavier Worthy did catch a 24-yard pass. They missed the 2-point conversion. It ended up after the 2 field goals being 40-6. DeAndre Hopkins caught a 7-yard pass, and then Xavier Worthy caught another long pass, this time for 50 yards to make it. The final score was 40-22. There was a try for another onside kick, but it was recovered again by Philadelphia. So Jalen Hurts gets the MVP. He threw for 2 touchdowns, had the first pick of the game, by the way. It was a really underthrown pass. I know we talked about it, whether the bets or whatever, who would throw the first pick. You went with Hurts, I went with Mahomes. Jalen Hurts threw for 221 yards. Was also the leading rusher because Saquon Barkley was stopped. The one thing that the Chiefs did good in the game was stop Saquon Barkley. He could not get anything going past like 8 yards. It was a really good effort by the Kansas City defense in that aspect. But Hurts had 11 carries with 72 yards and 1 touchdown. Devontae Smith had the most receiving yards with 4 receptions, 69 yards, and 1 touchdown again. Pat Mahomes, though, man, he threw for 257 yards, 3 touchdown passes, but 2 interceptions. They were both early, and they were both killers. He also ran for the most yardage, only for 25 yards. So both rushing games did not get going. I thought it was going to be more of Pacheco, but then they just checked out of the run because they were trying to come back from a large deficit to Kansas City. I was hoping after, I think the first play for the first drive for the Chiefs after halftime, they ran it for a good game by Pacheco, and he was firing everybody up. But they never went back to him. And it was just because, I guess, of time running out and then the score being so lopsided. But Worthy had the 2 touchdown passes and 8 receptions, 157 yards. It was like he and Mahomes were the only ones that showed up on offense. Remember, DeAndre Hopkins had a missed dropped pass, I think, was a 4th down pass, I think. It was around midfield that really killed him. So that was a killer there. Also, for the 40-22 game, I had some notes here. The Chiefs did not three-peat, but someone actually did in the game. So there was a backup offensive lineman. His name is Darian Kennard. So he's been in the league 3 years, and he's won 3 championships. Believe it or not, he played the first 2 years here with Kansas City and won the 2 Super Bowls. And he ended up signing with Philadelphia this season to back up. And guess what? He's only played 3 regular season games in his whole career, and he has 3 rings just like that. Man, I wish I was Kennard there.
We all would. I mean, hey, we want you to work hard, but not too much, and you might get a ring out of it. All right, Coach. Cool.
Yeah, 3 rings.
Not that you work lazy, but like, I don't have to do much. All right, easy money.
But think about it too. He's probably in those 3 regular season games. It was probably at the end of the year. When the teams didn't need the games. I wouldn't be surprised if one of the games he played was, that week 18 game for the Eagles where Barkley set out. They didn't need the game. He probably started that game, to be honest. But
probably did. I'll have to look back.
Yeah, but man, his trophy case is, glistening for sure. Yeah, so the Eagles win it 40-22. They win their second Super Bowl. They've gone to what? 6, and I think 6, and they've won 2.
Under Mahomes, yeah.
No, the Eagles in their history,
Oh,
franchise history.
they
Um,
went. They
what's-
went in 04 under Reed and McNabb. They went.
1981 against the Oakland Raiders in the Superdome.
Yeah.
So
Uh-huh.
1, 2.
And then they went in 2017, 2016, 2017.
Oh, yeah, 2018. And then, 22.
They didn't go.
Oh, so 5 times.
They didn't go in 22.
Or when they rematched against the Chiefs.
Oh yeah, it was 22. Yeah.
So they went 5 times and they've won twice. Yeah, I added 1 for some reason. So yeah, they not only have the 1960 championship, but they have these 2 Super Bowls out of 5 that they've gone to. Pat Mahomes, what is his record now? 3 out of
3 out of 5, I think.
3 out of 5. That's not bad. That's not bad at all.
3 and 2.
Yeah. So, it was really a shock just to see the Chiefs not be themselves. Kelsey didn't do much.
Well, I was watching with my dad, and he's like, Kansas City doesn't look hyped coming out, to start the game. And I'm like, at halftime, it's what, 24-0, and I'm like, man, Mahomes, Kansas City, they can, do the Chief thing and retaliate and come back, and that didn't work out.
We were all waiting for it too. Also about the Eagles, I know they had one loss more than the Chiefs this year, but it seemed like they were always in command this season. They held off the Commanders for the division, and they just ran through the playoffs. Saquon Barkley, wasn't he the Offensive Player of the Year for the season, right?
Yeah, and he also got the rushing
record. Or no, not the record. Oh yeah, the whole he got the whole season record.
Right, yeah.
After he gained so much in the Super Bowl. But yeah, Philly all year long, they were so consistent. I mean, I think I mentioned this on the last tailgate show we did where the coach was known just for being, dumb, and the fans didn't like him. He always had things with his players, or the same thing with the GM. It's a Philly thing.
And
but
after when they won the Super Bowl, they're breaking street lights.
Well, yeah, this year I was watching the coverage of like NBC, Philadelphia, whatever news station was covering the streets. And it wasn't as bad this year as, 2018. They were climbing up the poles, falling off the poles, climbing on awnings. Awnings come down. Same thing for a bus stop, I should say. They were lighting stuff on fire. The only thing I saw was on fire, except from the Eagles during the Super Bowl, was
good one.
Like the somebody was like lighting paper on fire in the streets, and they quickly got that dispersed, and then people left earlier than what we thought. What I thought
players did, or fans did, and probably players.
Well, I did see that too at the Super Bowl. A lot of Chief fans left, I think, in the third quarter. I mean, that's a lot of money to leave early.
I'm not. One thing I'm not going political in a way, but they showed Taylor Swift. They were booing.
Oh yeah.
And then they showed Trump, I guess. Yeah. And then everybody like, yeah. And then it's like, okay.
It was just the crowd too. It felt like it was really pro Eagles. I mean, everything was pro Eagles.
Like you're in a major financial field. And
the way that the Eagles played all year long, it just translated all the way to the Super Bowl here. Just total domination. But the fans, they were so good in Philly. I did see
You were
something
so good at
happen.
Philly. They didn't grease the light poles or anything.
No, what the police did, they actually put a fence where the poles were, so they couldn't get on the poles. They kept everybody in the streets,
And
not
they
on the
didn't climb
curbs.
the fencing.
Yeah, they never hopped over the fencing. The police did a great job, and then the fans actually, I got to give them a good thing too. There was something a little bit at the parade, like it was last year in Kansas City, but
I heard that.
there's always some going on.
And I
But
think,
it was good for the Eagles. It was good.
it was good. I mean, would I like to see the three-peat? Sure. But a lot of people, like they said too, do you want to see a team just keep winning and winning and winning
No.
and winning? So it's kind of a, I don't know, double-edged sword kind of thing.
But it's weird. If it was the Eagles, I wouldn't mind.
If they three-peat,
Yeah, if they did. If it was the Steelers, no. Like if it was the Broncos, no.
anybody from the division, no.
Right. And then if it was the Cowboys, no. Who are the more popular teams in the league? Like
Giants, maybe.
well, we're never going to see them do anything.
No.
But like that just felt good though to have a relaxing Super Bowl. I mean, it was unfortunate because I kind of tuned out, but I didn't catch Tom Brady's coverage of it. I was listening, of course, to the Philly Eagles radio network,
Yeah.
excuse me, and they did a great job with Myron. I'm sorry, not Myron. I forget his name. Who does the games with Mike Quick? But he does a great calls of the game, and it was very exciting for them. I didn't hear what the Kansas City radio was, but I bet it was very somber.
I'm sure it was. Did you tune out of the halftime show?
I fell asleep actually. I actually fell asleep.
I mean, maybe you did, but maybe you didn't. I don't know.
I fell asleep, and it was like 24 seconds left in the first half. I fell asleep. In the second quarter, I mean. And then I woke up, and all of a sudden, there's like 13 minutes left or something in the third quarter. I'm like, oh crap! What did I miss? Oh, okay. I didn't miss anything that important. I think just because of the score, it was 24-0. So I was just like, I'll just go to sleep. Yeah, because I thought, okay, it's the first half. Maybe they'll come back, but I just fell asleep. Oh God, I forgot his name, but the Eagles radio announcer. Anyway, I really enjoyed listening to them, and for them to get to enjoy another Super Bowl, that was fun because I know they enjoyed it in 2018 because they never won a Super Bowl. The players, though, I know enjoyed it, but I have the name right here. I should. Merrill Reese. So I really enjoyed that part about it because they're older, and whenever you win, it's a tremendous thing. All right, so you have anything else on the Super Bowl? Because I know you watched it. Were you really surprised about what happened?
I was. I mean, I thought the Chiefs were really gonna, come back and pull out a victory, but they did not. Congratulations to Philadelphia. And no, they're not America's team. I don't know who was that team. Cowboys at one point, yes, they were, but I don't know who you would give that title to, but it's not to you.
I think it was only because nobody except Kansas City fans wanted to see a three-peat. I think that's why they were named the America's team.
And just wait for the draft because I think the Cowboys are going to retaliate somehow.
Ooh. Okay, so speaking of that, you have a list of your let's get into free agency now. Because I don't know much about the draft right now. I usually wait a while. But
I just
by
thought it'd be
this list,
fun.
it seems like you do here. Let me get my picture up from this list, and you can start it off about like some of these players, because I know some of them. A lot of
Right.
them I don't know.
So if anybody's watching in the comments, if you have a list or who you think should be number one, just leave it in the comments. We'll see what we think. I got number one, Tennessee picking Cameron Cameron Ward from Miami.
Miami.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so let's talk about him.
Uh-huh.
Okay, so it's definitely what Tennessee needs, because we're sick of Mayo Man just being crap, right? We're just
Right.
sick of that. Now with Cam Ward, look, I've only seen little bits of him, but it seems like he could air it out very well. With Tennessee, I gotta see if they have the weapons in order for him to succeed. It'll take a while, but I hope he does it. If he goes there, I hope he doesn't get like man. I hope they give him the help that he needs. If not, he's just going to end up like the two quarterbacks they picked before. Malik Willis and now Will Levis.
Let's see, Shadir Sanders looks like he's going to if this draft or this mock draft holds, we'll be going to New York.
Now, wait, you have number 2 here. You have Mikael Williams. He's obviously a great edge rusher. But why do you see the Browns going defense? Is it because they're going to eventually trade Myles Garrett sometime this offseason?
That's the word.
Okay, so you're just going by that. But do you think they need, Deshaun Watson's probably not going to play in 2025, and who knows who they're going to start. But don't you think Shadir Sanders would be the pick for the Browns since they need a quarterback? Or do you think Shadir's not even going to go to Cleveland? He'd rather go to New York.
I would pick New York over Cleveland.
I would too.
I mean, Cleveland is a place to where your career goes to end.
That's true.
Honestly. I mean, and you can say that with Jacksonville, I think. You think?
With Jacksonville?
Yeah.
For me, I would go offensive line for Jacksonville. I don't know. You have for offensive line, you have the Patriots here, Will Campbell out of LSU, and I guess they need that too, but they also need some weapons for Drake May. So it seems like they'll get that later in the draft, if that's what I'm understanding there. And then you have for Jacksonville, you have Mason Graham, defensive lineman out of Michigan. That's what they need, that too, but they also need, hopefully they find some offensive linemen down the way.
Okay, number 6. You know more about the Raiders than I do in a way. Do they need a wide receiver? Because it looks like they're going to.
Yes, they do. Yes, they do.
Hopefully, he's not a bird. But
Luther Burden, man, I don't even know who the dude is. I didn't watch much Missouri football.
I don't either.
Everybody's saying they should trade up for a quarterback, but I just don't see that ever happening. It isn't the right draft for that. That would have been last year. They screwed up on it. It was one more pick, and they would have had a quarterback, but that didn't happen. So Luther Burden, if he goes there, great. We got to figure out who the quarterback's going to be. That's going to be more down the line, I think. But yeah, they do need wide receiver help. It would seem like a Raider pick from the past if they went with a receiver that early. So that's going to be interesting to note right there.
Carolina's going to do James Pace Jr.
Yeah, James Pierce Jr., he's a defensive edge rusher. That should be interesting. And look at the Jets right there, number 7. You got an offensive tackle for a quarterback to be named later.
Yeah, I remember he was good at Texas.
I was gonna say you should know who
When we
that
did the
is.
Georgia game, I think he had a few.
Yeah, that name does sound familiar now.
Mm-hmm. Let's see. Bears look like, or no, actually the Saints under Kellen Moore now, who's head coach. What do you think of that?
We'll talk about that later because I have some
Okay.
notes about him. But Abdul Carter, he's the edge rusher from Penn State. Seems like there's a lot of defense in the first part of this draft that you have, the mock draft.
Yeah.
I like it though because there's a lot of teams that need a lot of defensive help.
Yeah, but I
It's a
think
good
for
one.
somebody like the Saints and the Panthers and the Jets, I think you go quarterback.
But look, there's not another one out there
Well, yeah,
until
but
later on though.
you go free
Later on,
agent.
right? Uh, you mentioned the Bears. You have Travis Hunter going to Chicago.
And I think he's going to test as a linebacker, I think.
He'll be a cornerback. It'd be
Right, but I mean,
cool.
at Combine, he's going to test as a linebacker.
Oh, okay. Really?
Mhm.
Wow. Okay, I don't see him being that.
I mean, he could go either way. He could go offense or defense, so you can put him.
Yeah. It'd be cool if he did that for Chicago because they need all the help they could get. But it's weird though because I thought Travis Hunter was going to be a Patriot. I thought he was going to be way up there, but maybe they need the offensive line help more.
I know Chicago needs offensive line help.
Yeah, maybe they'll switch picks. This is interesting what you have for San Francisco, Jelon Walker. Now, we remember that game against Texas, and he had a big game. You
yeah.
have that edge rusher from Georgia going to San Francisco. They're going to need some help because Hargrove, I think, is a free agent. So they'll need some help on the line at least. Now, your pick, I've heard of him. He was putting up good numbers in the Big 12 for Arizona, which it still sounds weird to
It's still
say
weird.
that
Yeah.
Arizona in the Big 12. What is that? But Taroa McMillan, he put up some really good numbers. I thought the Raiders might go after him and pick him early. It would be a Raider move. But you have him to Dallas. You have a receiver going to Dallas. Why do you think that?
I just think that, I mean, you can't have too much help or too little help on the receiver front. You just never know. I don't think you need a receiver. I mean, you do need a receiver, but I don't know.
Now, I thought Will Johnson, by the way, the corner from Michigan, that's a good pick for Atlanta right there. Going on with the list, though, at 19 at Tampa Bay, they have two running backs already. Why do you see Ashton Jeanty going there, the best college running back?
To which team? You cut out for 1 second.
Tampa Bay.
I think. I know Cowboys
have two
fans
running
want him.
backs. Yeah.
Right. I know. And he wouldn't be bad as a running back. I just think you if you don't keep Dowdle for Cowboys, I think you put him there. But I feel like you should sign Dowdle back.
Oh yeah,
Maybe.
I think they would.
And then if you get Genty, cool. But if you don't, at least you got Dowdle. And maybe you can find somebody in the free agency draft or free agency pool.
Yeah, I do like the Bengals one, and I know we'll talk about them later on, but Tyler Warren, the tight end from Penn State, going there. That would be something. Jack Sawyer, the defensive edge rusher who had an interception, I think, in the national championship. No, in the semi, I think, against no, it was against Notre Dame, yeah, in the championship in Miami or wherever they played. Anyway, he had a that's a Green Bay pick right there. That's like AJ Hawk going, and who did they have before or with him? The other dude with the long hair. AJ Hawk and Matthews, Clay
Hey,
Matthews.
Matthews.
It just seems like that's Jack Sawyer. That just seems like a good fit there.
Is that your
And they already have another guy there as well, who they drafted high, and they traded someone for him to start. I forget his name with Green Bay. Man, I'm looking at the other ones, but is there anyone else on your list that you know of that it seems like it would be the right pick for the teams that you have them at?
I don't.
Mm.
You? I mean,
Jahadi Barron for the Steelers out of Texas. He was very clutch for Pittsburgh or for Texas. That would be a good pick for them. They need a little more youth, I think, for Pittsburgh's secondary. So that might be a good one there. I'm looking at the rest of the list. I don't really know anybody else, but you have the Chargers for safety. It seems like maybe they'll go younger on defense as well. But yeah, we'll see what happens because, as you can tell, it's not a big list for quarterbacks as last year was. If you're going to get a quarterback, it'll probably be like later on, second round, third round, fourth round. It won't be, right away.
And I wanted to do an audible a little bit. I found this tier list of NFL quarterbacks floating around social media, and I wanted to see if you think this is accurate. Because let me get this off real quick. Something about it screams no.
Let's see.
So the first tier is the big four. You got Mahomes, Allen, Jackson, and Burrow.
I agree with that. I agree with those four. I don't think either of them should be, or I think all of them should be in their one separate category. I like that.
Okay, elite. Herbert. Yeah.
Man, I was just talking about this with someone because I know some Charger fans, of course. And I was saying to him, in Jim Harbaugh's system, they're going to run the ball more than they throw, right? And they don't have the weapons like he did in the past. When they were healthy, they were there, and he put up a lot of passing yardage. But last year he didn't. So I feel like he's not as elite because they can't keep him upright and protected. You saw that in the wild card game. He was getting his beat. So I don't think he's elite. I think he's more
Are you undecided?
No. I think Herbert, if I put him as a game manager, it would be like it would be disrespectful to him. But I think he's I don't think he's just a game manager. But it seems like in the system that he's in with Harbaugh, that's what he is. Like, he'll throw deep when he has to, but he has running backs with him. So I would put him down a notch just because of the system that he plays in, not dissing him whatsoever.
Here's the other: Stafford, Daniels, Stroud. And I agree with this I disagree with this last one.
Thank you. Okay, Stafford, I agree, is elite. You've just seen him throw so many clutch third down passes to Nakua, whoever, right? Cooper Kupp will eventually get traded somewhere else. That's what the Rams mentioned, I think, the day after or during the week of the Super Bowl, I think. But yeah, I think he's elite when he has to be. What's weird is Daniels and Stroud, it's almost like their rookie years are the same. But I'm worried, like with Daniels, he's going to have the same year Stroud did this year. Will he have a sophomore slump next year? So I don't know. I don't want to put him as elite right now, even though he had it. Well, yeah. You know what? I'll keep Daniels there as well.
Yeah.
Stroud, I would put. See, but you don't know this because Diggs got hurt, another receiver got hurt, so you'll never know with those two if they went on a run how well he would have done. That's also why he struggled. So I don't know if I would have him elite. And then Prescott, I don't think he's elite. He had all those
game manager.
Yeah, he had all those 12, those 12-year wins, but he would always fail in the playoffs, and then there was always games where he needed to play big that he didn't. So, what do you think about your quarterback?
I put him a game manager. He can win you games, but he just can't win the games, like the games that matter. That's the only thing I would.
I wish there was another tier where it's like, okay, good, but we'll lose you a game, we'll win you a game. But how can you say that in like 3 words or less?
Well, there's a category, not good but serviceable.
But that's like a first year quarterback or barely starting like O'Connell is. That's not like Prescott is a veteran, right? So you're going to put him higher than O'Connell. So I wish I could add one more tier saying, okay, he's either going to win you a game or lose you a game, because the game managers are almost like those.
Right. And your game managers are Smith, Purdy, Goff, Mayfield. See? Hurts, I disagree now that he won a Super Bowl.
Yeah.
Love, Darnold, Tua, and Murray.
Okay. For Geno Smith, I feel like he has like half of a season, right? Like he'll be great half of the season, and then he'll be awful. And then he tries to win you games, and he loses you games. So I feel like he's fine. I guess he's fine where he is. Purdy, man, it feels like everybody last year or the 2 years ago, it felt like he was elite, and now somehow he's a step down. And I don't know if I agree with that. I guess I would leave him there. But Jared Goff, I believe he's elite. I would switch him with Stroud or Prescott. I really would. I really would change that. Mayfield.
Yeah.
See, again, it's like he can lose you a game or he can win you a game. He could be really bad and he could be really great. So I guess I would keep him there.
Hurts with Prescott, I think.
Yeah, so that's why I would move him down as well. So Hurts, I would switch with Prescott because he just won the Super Bowl. He didn't do much to lose the Super Bowl either. He just threw that one pick, but he threw those long touchdowns. And he runs the ball so well. There's rarely a fumble. He's learned how to run without getting hurt. Jordan Love, I think he's fine where he is, even though he doesn't get paid. He gets paid more than being a game manager. But it's almost a thing where he'll lose you a game, he'll win you a game. He throws passes off his back foot, fading away, like Favre and Aaron Rodgers would, and usually ends up being a pick or a great play. Sam Darnold, I would put undecided, just based on this was his first year that he had a great season. But the thing is, without the talent around him in Minnesota, if he goes somewhere else without talent, would he revert back to his old self where he wasn't as good? So I'd put him as undecided. Tua, I would put as... Damn it. Again, it's almost like Jordan Love. You put Tua and Jordan the same way. Excuse me. For Murray, I guess I would have him leave. I would leave him there. Luckily, he has a good running back with a Connor, but it feels like he can win you a game, he can lose you a game. So, but again, I think I would put Goff and Hurts up, and I would put Stroud and Prescott down. I agree with Gabe right here.
Yeah, Gabe says, "Good evening, fellas." He says, Goff, I feel like, has been elevated to elite status based on his play the last 3 years.
Yeah, because look, he was going to be just in Detroit for like 2 years. They were going to draft his replacement for quarterback, and then they were going to roll with him. That was the whole thing when they made that trade. That hey, okay, Stafford's gone, but Goff can hold the fort down for maybe 2 to 3 years. Then he did so well that they extended him for 5. So yeah, I gotta have him higher.
He also says Darnold for me,
I
is
agree.
undecided. Since the most important games, he reverts back to the Darnold of old.
The last 2, remember the Week 18 divisional decider in which he did awful, and then the playoff game. Refresh me in that playoff game, Chris. Who they play and who did they lose to? I forgot who they played in the playoffs. It was for Darnold and the Vikings. I forgot who they played, but Darnold didn't do as well. Oh, wasn't it? It was Los Angeles. It was in Arizona. Yeah, the wild card game on Monday. Yeah, he didn't play. The whole team didn't play well in Arizona against LA. That's right.
He also said I put Purdy and Nick category.
Let's wait for Nick's when we get to him in order. But for Purdy, he did put up good numbers, and Deebo Samuel just is out of shape. I mean, I'm saying he's out of shape, but look at me. But there's a reason why those trade rumors are going on in San Francisco with Samuel. But Purdy, if he shows another season like he did last year with all the injuries and whatnot, and remember, he's gone to Super Bowl, or just once, and he was on the doorstep of one, I think you put him in elite company.
So, Big B, it's in that elite category. Herbert, Stafford, Daniels, Stroud, and then Prescott. He was wondering who is next to Daniels on this list.
Right.
Big B, or Gabe saying, no, Dak is not elite. I agree with that. He's not.
Right.
Big B saying Sam is too high. I don't know.
Yeah, no, he is. I think he's undecided to me.
Speaking of undecided, the players in this category are Lawrence, Drake May, Penix, Young, and Williams. I get Williams for 1 year, and maybe May and Penix.
Okay, I'll just start off with Lawrence because I think with the right coaching and the right playbook, he can go back to his old ways, right? With who they have now, the new coach, I forget that dude's name, but he said Duval, coach, whatever his name was. If they have the right offensive scheme, because they have all the weapons you could buy, for offense and for the receivers and tight ends and whatever. So if he goes back to that, you could put him in a game managing mode. Drake May, I feel like it's undecided just because he did well, but not well enough to carry a team. You got to put players around him. Penix Jr., we didn't see enough to judge yet, but you could just tell maybe he was managing the game better than Cousins. There's a reason why Cousins is all the way down there. So Penix, yeah, for me is undecided. Same thing for Bryce Young because it's been a hellish 2 years for him, right? Rookie year was awful. Second year, he had to be benched, and then he had to see the game. And when he did, and when he came back to start, he did very well to end the season last year. So I'm kind of high on Bryce Young. I want to see what more they can do for him. Caleb Williams, man, I feel like they should have benched him the last 5 games of the season just to have him just watch the game instead of playing and get more frustrated. because you could tell that was happening. I know they had a good ending against Green Bay when that game didn't mean much to Green Bay, but they got the win there. They broke that, I think it was, 12 or 11 game losing streak to Green Bay. But Williams, I feel like he's almost, to me, he's like not good but serviceable. That's why I feel like Caleb Williams is right now.
Yeah. Yeah, I can see that. Speaking of not good but serviceable, we have Bo Nix.
Ooh.
And I can't believe we were saying this name after the career he had. Aaron Rodgers. You have Carr,
Yeah.
Wilson, and your quarterback, O'Connell.
By the way, I like that O'Connell changed his number from 4 to 12 last season. I almost said Lance Nix. That's an old baseball player. Bo Nix, man, he impressed me so much last year.
He did. I think you move him up to undecided because it's only been 1 year. But I would move him to undecided.
I'd actually move him to game manager. I think he did that well, and you have Sean Payton with him as well. I think he did that well enough to move up to there, and they made the playoffs too, which is very hard to do in the AFC.
Right.
For Aaron Rodgers, I know he put up, and we'll talk about his numbers later on, but he put up 28 touchdowns, 11 picks, was for a horrible team. He did play 17 games. So he's still serviceable. So I wouldn't put him in. I would.
Game manager?
Yeah, I would put him there just because I know that he's still going to put up solid numbers, but you have to deal with all the BS that comes with him. Now, for
quarterback,
yeah, for Derek Carr, and we'll talk about him later as well, because I have some news with him and Kellen Moore. I feel like he's undecided because there's a reason. I'll say why, but it just feels like he didn't put enough numbers up. Remember, they were 2-0, and everybody thought the Saints were on their way back. Remember, they blew out Dallas, and everybody thought, man, the Saints are going to be awesome this year. And then they ended up winning, 6 games, I think. And most of that was Carr just being inconsistent or injured. So right. I put him as undecided. Because I think this year's a make or break year, even if they bring him back in New Orleans. But I think it's disrespectful to have Derek Carr as not good but serviceable. I don't know. I don't think he's that bad of a quarterback.
I don't think so either.
No, he just there's just something about him. Russell Wilson.
There's a couple quarterbacks, I think.
Russell Wilson, to me, I think he's on undecided as well. He's almost like Aaron Rodgers, but worse.
He's not unlimited.
No, he's very limited now. So I think he's almost like Derek Carr, where you go trust him to start some games, but he's not going to play a whole season well.
Right.
I think O'Connell is probably the only one to be on that list because he manages games, but he's not like a full game manager. You wouldn't trust him over a veteran. That's why the Raiders brought in Gardner Minshew, because they needed someone that would go over the hill and throw the ball. But Minshew was obviously the wrong guy. So obviously. I like him in that. Now, the Nihao, I guess that means goodbye in Japan or Chinese. Ni hao. I like
that. Yeah, I know that. But,
I think I know how.
You have Cousins.
What?
Jones.
What?
Richardson.
What?
Watson.
What?
And Levis.
What? For Cousins.
Wilson will just say yes. I agree. See you later. Goodbye.
Yeah. For Cousins, man, God. Yeah, it's probably time. The Falcons are going to cut him I think this offseason, and eventually they're going to pay for it. But somebody's going to sign him, and I hope it's not the Raiders. But I think he's gone. Daniel Jones, you can't trust him as a starting quarterback. And the Giants paid dumbly for that. That's not even a word.
He's not even on the Giants anymore.
Right. But they have him listed as a Giant in those colors.
Oh, yeah.
What was he? I think he's a free agent now, or is he still backing
he was on
up?
Washington
on the Vikings.
Or Vikings, yeah.
Yeah, he was on the playoff roster, but of course he didn't play. Anthony Richardson,
he plays good, but he gets hurt a lot. But he plays well.
But he quits on his team. Like, there were things that I know McAfee said and other people said about him, and you could just tell he's not a leader of men. I just saw I've seen some things that didn't make sense about him. So yeah, I feel like if he wises up, he can be in the next category. Deshaun Watson, he's a hassle to have around, but in the worst ways. Yeah. Will Levis, like I said earlier, he's going to lose you games. He's going to do stupid, idiotic things with the football. And that was only like the first 4 weeks of the season that he did all those stupid things. There was, photos of him doing stupid things, and it was only week 4. So he can go as well. So I agree with all of those on that list. That's for once. Oh no, the big 4 and the bottom 5. I agree with all of those, no doubt.
Yeah,
that was a fun list. We got to bring this back.
Yeah, I saw that earlier today, and I'm like, ooh, that would be fun to go over. And let's kind of continue the off-season chat.
Yeah.
With some off-season news. So James, what do you got?
Okay, so let's start off with Kellen Moore. So after he wins the Super Bowl, being the offensive coordinator for the Eagles, he gets to stay in New Orleans and be the newest head coach. He is the 19th head coach in New Orleans Saints history. That dates back to 1967. I was listening and watching his press conference and his interviews, and I think the talk about him was that he wants to play at a fast, creative, smart pace, and everybody knows that about him around the league. He's really good in that way. Yeah. Moore did mention about Derek Carr that he's non-committable to him. So Carr is either gone or he'll be back, but he's not guaranteed to start. So that's going to be interesting to think. Huh?
Start watching games, Kellen.
Derek Carr, by the way, has a no trade clause. If they just decide to cut him, we'll see.
Now, what does the no? I know, but what does the no trade clause mean?
It means you can't trade me without my permission. If I want to be traded, I can only go to certain places.
Gotcha.
So that's interesting to note because that's kind of the elephant in the room.
Without his permission.
And then if you cut Carr, they not only are they under the cap $60 million, but if you cut Carr, it's going to be way more because they gave Carr that extension. So that's Kellen Moore going to the Saints. He inherits a great offense, but not a great defense in New Orleans. But I wanted to ask you this because being a Cowboy fan, did you think Kellen Moore like 2 or 3 years ago was going to be the heir apparent to Mike McCarthy?
I had 2 in mind. I thought Kellen Moore would be one. And when he was here, I thought this other candidate would have been it. And that would have been Dan Campbell. Or not Dan Campbell. Dan Quinn.
Oh, yeah.
Just because he was, I think, the Falcons head coach at one point. And he had that experience. He was around Pete Carroll in Seattle. So he has, some familiarity in leadership with those two. He was, the head coach with Atlanta at one point. He has that experience. I would have thought, Dallas.
Yeah, that's what I thought it was going to be him. But
maybe I would have thought this year. I would have thought this year Zimmer would have been it, but he's retired.
Yeah, I know they were. I don't know. They didn't talk to Kellen Moore, or maybe the Cowboys did. Maybe they did a last second. Oh no, they couldn't because he was with Philly. Oh, never
Yeah.
mind. Yeah. They couldn't, so they just went with.
And we were running out of time. The Senior Bowl, I think, was coming up at that point. And
So they promoted within with Brian Schottenheimer, who was a hot candidate 10 years ago.
yeah, 10 years ago.
That's the first thing I thought. I was like, wait, I heard that name, but it was popular 10 years ago.
Son of Marty Schottenheimer.
Right, and I love him.
Late Marty Schottenheimer.
Right, but it was like, oh wait, I remember that name, but 10 years ago when everybody wanted him.
I remember the last name. I'm like, wait, that name sounds familiar.
So he was with Seattle, being an offensive coordinator there. Okay, so I want to talk about Aaron Rodgers because this sounds weird, but just before Valentine's Day, they split. No more.
Oh, the breakup. Oh.
Yeah, they literally broke up. Aaron Rodgers and the Jets. It's an odd separation, but it had to happen for both.
It's kind of like the thing where they go, "It's not me, it's you."
Literally, both sides can say that.
I'm just kidding.
Yeah, both sides could literally say that. There were rumors that, the Jets were mad at Rodgers because he didn't want him. They didn't want him going on the McAfee show every week, thinking that he was going to say something so provocative about the team or the players.
Then come to Dallas. We'll let you on the show. I'm just saying.
There were certain things, but then that myth went away. From what I heard, was like, oh no, that wasn't the reason.
You're walking it back. Okay.
Yeah, and then they were saying because of Robert Saleh, the owner wanted him to stay, but Rodgers didn't, and he made it worse when the coach went in for a hug, and Rodgers said, "No, it's only the first quarter. Get away from me." And then Saleh was fired, I think, 3 weeks after that Monday night game. So the Jets went 5-12. Aaron Rodgers he had, again, 28 touchdowns, 11 interceptions. He threw for almost 4,000 yards. They traded for Devontae Adams, and they won one more game than the Raiders did, basically.
It's respectable.
No, well, the expectations.
I mean, stat-wise.
Yes, for the stats, yes. But they were never in big games, and that was right away against Pittsburgh. Remember that Sunday night game, and it was a blowout. It didn't matter that Adams just got there. They were losing these games. So the Jets didn't want any more of that.
With stats, I see it as part of the story. I don't see it as fully the story.
Right. This would go against the story because of the good numbers.
Mm-hmm.
Because he had more. Well, his last year in Green Bay, he had 26 touchdowns and 12 picks. But remember last year, 2023, he played 4 snaps, and that was it. He had 1 passing attempt, and then he got hurt on the turf there. So he'll be 42 eventually in the season, 42 years of age. But it just felt like the separation was going to happen. But it was before Super Bowl Sunday that the news came out. He isn't allowed to sign till June 1st, but he can talk to other teams. Age is a factor again. Like I mentioned, he'll be 42. I'm trying to figure out, will he retire? Is he going to go to what team will he go to? And will Devontae Adams follow him?
Roll that back. He can't sign until June.
Right, because he's because he signed with the Jets up until that point, and then they'll cut him. He's not a free agent. Remember, free agency is what, March 1st or something? 12th. March 12th, yeah. So because he's on a team, but they already announced that they were going to cut him. Like they already announced.
They told him that June 1st or whatever, post June 1st.
Yeah. Okay. But it's amazing that they said it this fast, like what they were going to do. It was just amazing.
I,
But
I
yeah,
think they're like, hey, we're going to cut you. We're not going to beat around the bush.
right.
Here's what's going to happen. You're just
More.
up, which is respectable. I give them that. They're respecting him.
He was that much of a headache that they said, okay, no more. My guess, excuse me, he'll probably go to the Raiders. I hope not. I don't think he'll retire either. I think he'll play one more season. What do you think?
Who?
Aaron Rodgers?
I think he's done.
I would hope so, but I just don't know. I guess before we get to the free agent list,
Mm-hmm.
there was news about Justin Tucker that came out, I think, just today. I want to say just today, that 7 more accusers came out in engaging in inappropriate misconduct at high-end spas. The Baltimore Kicker, it went from 8 to 16 therapists who have made allegations against Justin Tucker. All of them occurring from 2012 to 2016. The first 5 years Tucker was in the NFL. So I'm not going to go into all of the details, but obviously it's the NFL's taking it seriously, and Tucker could be subject to be disciplined under the NFL's personal conduct policy. So it's just something to watch, because the first 8 cases came out in January 30th, and now you have today happening. Tucker, of course, is fighting it, the lawyers and all that. All the stories about him now coming out. It just seems not him, if that makes sense. It just doesn't seem to be him, but we'll see if it hurts him. We've seen in the past, right? You know, Bill Cosby and Deshaun Watson. If you have so many stories against you, you know, eventually, you know, you're gonna have to pay for that. It seems like, whether it's true or not. But we'll see after that. So I have I'll let you introduce this. The top free agents, and I think we'll go through them, and then we'll see where they end up. How about that?
Uh-huh. Let's see. Make sure I'm on the right one. Okay. Let's go with Stephon Diggs.
So
Wide
receiver, remember he
Houston.
was traded to Houston from Buffalo. He's been a headache everywhere he's went, or everywhere he's been, I should say. My guess is that he stays with Houston. They try to run it back, and that they try to see if he could do it with a healthy. They could do it with a healthy Diggs.
He's 34 or 32. I'm sorry, 32.
Mm-hmm.
T. Higgins.
This is tough because Joe Burrow wants him back along with Chase, but they can only pay one elite receiver, and I think Chase is more than Higgins. So Higgins will be gone. The only thing is, will he be a Patriot? Will he be a Charger? Let's see the list of them. He could be a Raider as well. It just depends on. I know the salary cap or whatever, the space. The Raiders, the Chargers. I believe the Bears are also on that list. I'm gonna bring that up right now on my phone. But I'm just gonna think wherever he goes would be where the most money is. And for me, I know Washington is there as well.
So
Ooh.
it's just in wide receivers, Brandon Cooks for the Cowboys is going to be on the market. Hopkins is going to be on the market.
Deontay Johnson, the Raven that wasn't.
Right.
Chris Godwin, Amari Cooper, Keenan Allen.
Robert Woods.
Yeah.
The list goes on.
Yeah. T. Higgins, man, something tells me he's going to be on the Commanders.
Yeah.
I can see that.
Hargrove.
Yeah, Javon Hargrove only, was with the 49ers. He was only for a couple years. Remember, he went to the Eagles from the 49ers. He got hurt last year, so he wasn't serviceable whatsoever. I feel like any team's going to go after him, honestly. And whoever that is might make a mistake on them. I'm going to say New England goes after him.
That wouldn't be bad. Keenan Allen. He used to be a Charger. He was with the Bears last year.
I wouldn't be surprised if he goes back to the Chargers. I don't know why. I have that weird feeling he's either a Charger or a Commander.
So, let's see. What position was wide receiver?
Yeah.
So on the Chargers, just the wide receivers, you got DJ Clark, free agent, Josh Palmer, Jalen Rager, who was an Eagle, last Super Bowl, and Sammy Fehoko, which I believe was a Cowboy at one point.
And Ladd McConkey, their best receiver from last year.
So those are your 4 receivers on the market for Chargers.
Yeah, they need something else. They need a bigger play receiver.
Amari Cooper, Buffalo Bills.
This is tough because in the postseason he really disappeared, and he was away from team from the regular season. In the regular season as well, he could literally go anywhere. I feel like maybe a LA Rams, since Cup will be gone, they'll bring another Cooper in.
Right. Chris Godwin.
I think the Buccaneers are going to bring him back. I know he got hurt last year, but I think he wants to run it back.
We have Khalil Mack. You know
this. I know. I wish he was back with the Raiders.
He could. I mean, I don't know what the market's going to be for him, but
no, I think the relationship with I almost said Al Davis, but Mark Davis. I think that's suffered because of the separation in 2018 with John Gruden. I think that's just too much of a hassle there. I think he's going to go where he's going to get paid more, and the Chargers, they would be able to bring him back, but they would have to pay him more than they want to.
Yeah, that's definitely an issue.
Yeah, so I don't know if he goes back to Chicago. I think they're gonna go more offensive. Crap. I don't think the Rams have enough to bring him back either. And I don't know if he would go back to the Raiders. I don't think he would, because they have enough defensive help. A lot of money's on the defense already. I'm not going to say Detroit either. I know that would be something. Crap. That'd be cool if you went to New England. I'll just say New England. That would be cool.
It would. Zach Martin from the Cowboys. He's
35.
35.
Yeah.
Yeah. Bruised, banged up. Just retire. Just saying.
That's what I was going to ask you. Where do you, what's his status?
Retirement.
Yeah.
He's a free
I'll
agent.
just go with that. Yeah.
Yeah. Dante Johnson, Ravens.
Yeah, Deontay Johnson. Remember, he was traded to go to the Baltimore Ravens, but then he was pouting about not getting the ball, and then they released him just before the playoffs. So he's kind of messed up his stock there. My guess, I'll just put him with the Giants. They need all the help they can get. Congrats, you've gone from the Ravens to the Giants.
I mean, I would have said it would have been better, but no, it's not. Should have stuck in Baltimore. Cam Robinson, Vikings, left tackle.
Yeah, left tackle. He's pretty serviceable. Everybody's gonna want a left tackle, and if they can't draft one, somebody's gonna sign him. Shoot. Would he go back to Jacksonville? Because they need help there. Yeah, I'm gonna say he goes back to Jacksonville.
Okay. Hassan Reddick, New York Jets.
Remember in the offseason about Hassan Reddick, how he was traded from Philadelphia to the Jets, but he held out and he didn't play until like halfway through the season.
Mm-hmm.
It was very odd it was a Jets move basically. So he's not going to be a Jet. I know that. I wouldn't be surprised if he goes to the Commanders and helps that defense out. I really wouldn't.
Okay. Carlton Davis.
Yeah, Carlton Davis, a corner. I can see him coming back with the Lions, honestly. I think that's going to be a good one. Marcus Williams, I think he's going to leave the Ravens, but I don't know where. Again, the Giants need all the help they can get, and the Bears do as well. What do you think about DeMarcus Lawrence for the Cowboys?
Yeah, he's an edge player.
Was he hurt last year?
I think off and on.
Yeah.
Yeah. There was a lot of injuries.
Oh, yeah. He only played 12% of the snaps. Yeah.
There's a lot of injuries. I say keep him. Sign him to a year contract.
Okay, I'll go with that.
Let's not break the bank here.
What about DeAndre Hopkins? Remember he got I think they bring him back, the Chiefs.
Yeah.
I think they bring him back. All right, so let's get to the important ones before we get out of here. So Sam Darnold is the most important quarterback, I think. And after that, it's just a bunch of role players, to be honest with you. And on the rest of this list, let's just end it with Sam Darnold. This is tough because the Vikings have J.J. McCarthy, remember, as the they drafted him. Yeah. And he was going to be the starter until till McCarthy got hurt one game into the preseason. And Darnold had a great year up until the last two most important games. Now, there's a lot of quarterback-hungry teams out there. You look at the Jets, the Giants. He wouldn't go back to that stadium. There's no damn way. So I know that was maybe some of the listings that he go to. Cleveland can't afford him because of all the money they have, under people. The Colts are maybe a list there. The Saints, if they get rid of Carr. Titans as a backup, but I don't think he wants to be a backup. The Raiders seem like everybody's radar that he's going to go to Las Vegas. After that, maybe Seattle to back up Geno Smith in his final year, but I don't see that happening. So basically, it's, hey, you want to go back where you were really bad, the Jets? I don't think he wants to do that. So the only places I see is the Colts or the Raiders. And my guess, if Rodgers retires, then Darnold will be a Raider, or he goes back to Minnesota and they franchise tag him. What do you think?
I could see that. I mean, free agency is very random, so I could see it.
Yeah, that's a good list right here, and thank you, Chris, for that note there, or that website there. I'm going to be using that.
It's awesome.
Yeah. Let's end it, or not, the second to the last thing we have here.
Mm-hmm.
So this will be our last, football show, and it's just been something to, think about, the way that the season started off. You didn't really know, other from the Chiefs, who was going to be elite. But the Eagles showed it all the way through. our teams did not have good seasons because of injury and just because of bad play, at least on my part. Quarterbacks went down. I had 2 quarterbacks that went down. Raiders need to do a lot to get better. What do you want to see the Cowboys do in the offseason to get better?
One, make the playoffs, especially under a new coach.
Yeah.
2, I know this is probably going to be obvious, but win the first game, win the second game, win the third game, win the Super Bowl.
Mm-hmm.
Or let's just start by winning free agency, winning the draft, and go from there, I guess.
Nowhere to go but up for our teams. I'll just say that.
Where do you want to see the Raiders? Or how do you want to see the Raiders?
I just want to see them close to a wild card. But if you have a chance to tank. If you don't get a good free agent quarterback, tank properly. Don't win and mess up your draft pick. They could have had the first pick, but they screwed it up. I'm just being like legit because I know they have this the third most cap space, or no, second most cap space at $99 million, I think. So they could sign free agents, but they tried it last year, with Wilkins up front, but he got hurt. So it's just like you got to sign the right ones, and then somehow you have to get a quarterback. And I guess that's first on their list. And just be competitive. It's a tough-ass division. And now you have Pete Carroll in here trying to make things happen. You have John Spytek, the former, I think, GM of the Buccaneers. Just be better than.
And don't forget Brady.
You have Tom Brady firing and hiring people. So that sounds weird. But just be better than you were last year somehow. I don't know how, but somehow.
How many wins did they get last year?
4?
Get 6.
Yeah.
And then maybe get 7, get 8,
Yeah, the ceiling is the roof, and that's it right there. So with that, that's our final football show of 2024-2025. We'll be switching now to On Deck and the MLB season. A lot of storylines coming off of that. I've been watching and reading and following all of that, and cannot wait to be on shows with you on that.
When do you want to start that?
Maybe in a couple of weeks.
I don't know if you announced it.
Maybe in a couple of weeks. Whenever the Dodgers go play the Cubs, maybe before that. They have 2 regular season games like they did last year against San Diego. They're doing that again where they're starting the season.
Mm-hmm.
So maybe before that, just to see if those other final free agents come in and sign. See if that happens, because if so, then we'll know. We'll preview the teams, the divisions, the leagues, give our predictions. But that'll be the first part of the first part of the shows is just previewing all the teams in the leagues and giving our thoughts on that. We'll have all the outlines on that. We'll do it all. So hopefully I'll go to spring training in Arizona, and I'll have some more information on that. We'll see in March. Maybe I'll do a show from there with you one day, or I'll be there one day.
They're facing the Cubs?
Yeah, the first 2 games of the regular season in the middle of the exhibition, spring training. I don't like
it. So that's the 18th, 19th.
Right. Of March, right?
Yes.
Yeah. So, yeah, we'll see. We'll see if we'll do it right before that, or because there's some teams that haven't signed free agents yet, or I just want to see where everybody goes, basically. So we'll get to that. We'll get to On Deck, and we'll figure out a day when we could do that show. We'll figure it all out, but it's been a fun morning tailgate. I guess that's my final thought, is that we had early games, internationally, and luckily that was going on when I was watching games, and we had the shows going on. Thanks
Yeah.
to Primus with his Prime 5
Mhm.
every time. And Big B checking in before work. That was always
Yeah.
interesting. He would always leave us with questions that just like really made us think. And
Right.
I really enjoyed that. Was there anybody else that joined us during the season? I can't recall.
I think Dave, mess around Dave joined us a couple times.
Oh yeah, on the Super Bowl show.
Yeah. And I think a couple times during the season.
Yeah, I can't recall that. All right, that's my
So
final thought. It was an interesting year, a lot of storylines, a lot of things to remember, and then 25 hopefully we'll have a lot more, but hopefully improvements for our teams.
yeah, hopefully improvements for our teams. It's been a fun morning tailgate. We'll probably be back draft time. Covering that round one and our reactions to it.
Oh yeah,
But we'll be back next season.
will there be a draft show?
Oh, I'm sure.
I'll join in on that.
Okay.
I would watch that.
So we'll probably be back for that, and then of course the regular season with more international, games, and this year and next year with
No.
Australia being in the mix, and I think a couple others. So we will be back with that next season for Morning Tailgate. Thank you everybody for watching, tuning in. We'll be with you for on deck in the in a couple months. So with that, have a good week, have a good evening, and we'll check you guys out here on the stream soon.